Hey everybody, happy Friday. Can you believe it? It is Friday again. But you know what? It's not just Friday, it is Finish Strong Friday. And that's what we're praying for us to finish strong this week. That no matter what was on our to do list, we pray that we finish it all. But you know what? If we don't, it's okay. We're still going to finish strong because we're going to know that we're prioritizing what's important and we're just gonna stay with that. Okay. So, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what you're facing today, you hang in there and you stay encouraged and you finish strong. Okay. And that is a personal choice. That's not dependent on anyone, what anyone else says, think, or does. Okay. It's your choice. And I don't know about you, I choose to finish strong today. Okay. So I pray that you are choosing that as well. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Wanita Mercer. I am the Chief Heart Leader and founder of Lead My Heart Executive Coaching and Consulting. That's a mouthful. But I'm so thankful that you're joining today. What you're watching is a series called The Spiritual Journey of Leadership. And it's been a great series. If you haven't watched episodes 2 and 3, you got to go check them out because they build on one another. Today is episode 3, and I'm super excited to talk about the triple bottom line or the sustainability development plan or as I like to call it, the prioritized priorities that every organization, I want to say, must have, definitely should have, okay, um, in order to really have dominion. And that was my prayer. Right before I started this live, as I was praying for this episode, God, help us to get back to the right priorities. God, help us to get back to your original intent for us to have dominion over the earth, to have dominion in every place where you have assigned us. That we will have the heart for your people, that we will have a heart for the planet and have a heart for profits, so that we'll have the resources to do everything that you've called us to do and to fulfill every assignment. That is my prayer. And so I pray also that that is the mindset that we have in watching this episode, and that we're just open. We're open to assessing where we're weak. We're open to assessing the things that we need to change. We're open to assessing how we can be better spiritual leaders. And so before I go any further, because I get ahead of myself, I get so excited with this, I want you to engage with me, okay? And you know what I'm asking you to do. I want you to like the video, heart the video. I want you to share it on your timeline, share it with your people, your folks, your posse, okay? Those other leaders that you serve with, coworkers, your team members, friends, family, share, share, share. Because you know what? This is good stuff to share. We share a lot of stuff we honestly don't have any business sharing. It doesn't help people. Yes, it may make us laugh, which is definitely a help. It's good for our health. But there's so much crap. Yes, I'm just going to say it. There's so much crap out here in the internet that doesn't help people or it keeps people in bad cycles. This isn't one of them. This is to help you be a better leader, to fulfill your calling in leadership, and to understand how God made you so that, and how God made all of us and others so that we can be better leaders and be more effective with our calling. Okay. And so this is good stuff. So share the good stuff and then tag people in the video so that you can bring their attention to it. Okay. And then I also ask that you comment. Hey, let me know that you're here. Say hello. Ask questions. Share information. If I missed something, if I overlooked something, hey, add to it. Okay. Become a part of this learning community. And then react. Throw up those hearts. Throw up those likes. And then also, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the Lead My Heart YouTube channel. I'm so thankful for the 102 subscribers that I have. Thank you so much for your support. I can't tell you really how much I appreciate it. I truly, truly do. And I pray that the videos and the content is a blessing to you and it's helping you in your spiritual journey. But also, not only subscribe, but hit that bell, okay, so that you get all the notifications as to when I'm live. Okay? All right. So, those are all the rules and mandates for today. Let's go ahead and get into episode 3. Again, we're talking about leading the triple bottom line, not just managing it, but having more intention and purpose and vision for what the triple bottom line is and our role in helping it to be everything, each one of those to be what they need to be. So often the bottom line is considered just profit. But I'm here to tell you, organizations have a lot more at stake than just profit. Okay, and so we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, I just want to catch you up on some things that were discussed in episodes 1 and 2. So if this is the first episode that you're watching, I do encourage you, if you're not watching it live, you're watching it later, stop. Go watch episodes 1 and 2 and then come back, okay? But if not, if you just want to do your own thing and that's your business, you can do that. Then let me get you caught up. So I have this quote that I've kind of been repeating and saying over and over as to the importance of understanding spiritual leadership. But this is what it's all about, that we are spiritual beings, therefore, we are spiritual leaders. Okay. We're not leading just people, we're not leading just professionals, we're not just leading those who are skilled, we're not just leading mothers and fathers and daughters and sisters and brothers and aunties and uncles. We're leading spirits. Spirits. We were spirit, each and every one of us. Before we had a body, we were made in the image of God, and God is spirit. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so, therefore, by acknowledging this, that is the beginning of effective, indelible, and fulfilling leadership. Okay? That's where you're going to see long lasting change. That's where you're going to see people transformed and become everything that God created them to be. It's important that people don't just work in the workplace, but they live there. They thrive there. They become there. Become what? Become what God created them to be. And you too. And then the second thing that I want to update you on is what spiritual leadership is all about. Okay. So it's this spiritual leadership is the practice of intrinsically motivating from the inside out and inspiring, motivating spiritual beings and a vision of service. Yes, service, because we are servants. And as executive leaders, we're not only a servant, we're the chief servant. No one should outserve us. Okay. And we do this with faith and hope. Faith, for those of us who are believers, our faith is in God. Our hope is in God, a living hope. And altruistic love, meaning unselfish love. I don't expect anything in return, love. I'm doing it simply because you deserve it as a human being. To foster efficacy, commitment, productivity, and overall wellness via purpose and partnership, calling and community, mission and membership. Okay? That's so important. And then that's what spirituality is all about and spiritual leadership. These three things, faith, vision, and love, but with this background and oversight of spirituality. Because what we're constantly doing is engaging and seeking and wanting to fulfill our spirit. And then the next thing we talked about was the three perspectives of spiritual leadership. So often we just talk about leadership as if it's one person doing everything, and it's not true. What we talked about is the fact that leadership is a partnership, two or more coming together. Okay? It's not just a leader, but a leader is not a leader without followers. And you're not a follower without someone you're following that's a leader. Okay. And then we have this idea, this third perspective of personal leadership, or as I call it here at Lead My Heart, heartpreneurship. And what is recognizing is that all of us are spirit or our hearts, and that's what we have to lead. And that's why my company is called Lead My Heart. I don't know why I got emotional right there. It's important. It's so important that we do lead people's hearts, that we acknowledge that we're spirit because this is why we exist. And when we don't acknowledge spirit, when we don't provide an environment that nurtures the pursuit of purpose and is not conducive for building meaningful relationships. Oh gosh, like I'm literally crying here. What we see is people not being fulfilled but being crushed. They're dying in the workplace. We're dying in churches. We're dying in the community because we don't recognize who we are. We haven't embraced that we're spirit made in the image of God, and that spirit has to be nurtured. The workplace is no place to die. Our homes are no place to die. Our churches are no place to die, y'all. We have to acknowledge that it's so important. And so, um, there's so much going on. This is really from a good place, but I just see the need for us to come together and to get this right. To get this right so we can get back to having dominion over the earth and to taking over our workplaces and allowing them to be places that cultivate people and nurture them and help them to develop and thrive, not around one person's agenda, but around everyone's assignment over agenda. And so, whew, I'm sorry that I went all emotional. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize for that because that's who I am. That's the heart of this. It's the heart of what I do. And it's intentional. And I'm so thankful to do this. I'm so thankful to be aligned with my purpose and my principles and what I believe in the right place and the right time. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so fulfilled. And that's my prayer for everyone who watches this, that you experience that same fulfillment in what you're doing and knowing why you're doing it, because that is what is going to keep you showing up every single day. Keep showing up. Keep showing up. Okay. So, getting back to the three perspectives. Okay. We're talking about leadership, how we lead others, followership, how others lead us, because we do have a responsibility in that. And then heartpreneurship, how we lead ourselves. Okay. And the last point that I made in yesterday's episode was that heartpreneurship is not the last thing, it's the first thing. Because if we can't lead ourselves effectively, we sure can't lead others. And one affects all the others. Okay. But starting with heartpreneurship. All right. And then today we're getting into, okay, this triple bottom line. And for those of you who may not be familiar with this, um, Dr. Fry and his colleagues kind of coined this term, I believe, the triple bottom line. But if you were to research people, planet, and profit, and seeing it in different terms, you might also see sustainability development. Okay. And then what I'm also calling it is the prioritize priorities, because we have so many priorities in businesses. We have so many missions and visions, right? As to what we do and why we do it. But these three things had to be the prioritized priorities. Okay. And we're going to talk about more why in a minute. And the importance of spiritually leading these, not managing them, Okay, not just managing them, because there is some management that needs to take place, which is a skillful um, application. Okay, but spiritually leading, that's what we're talking about, thought leadership here. Okay, and putting mission and vision with these things. Okay, so people, our members, our teams, our leaders, our constituents, our stakeholders, the planet, not just the environment and the climate and all of that, but also our many resources, also our society. Okay, and then profit, money. Yes, because that is not the only currency, but it certainly is one of the main currencies we use, okay, in order to be able to continue to do things that we need to do. Um, Again, it's not the only currency. Love is also a currency. Relationships are also currency. But we can't undermine the importance of money, okay? Money. Jesus had women and other people who were funding his ministry and the work that he did in the earth. He was also given gold, frankincense, and myrrh, which was a gift suitable for not only the King of Kings, but kings, earthly kings. Christ's ministry needed funding. Our ministry does too. It is not going to happen just on prayers and love and hugs and smiles. I would love to take that to HEB and purchase food. I would love to be able to, send that to my credit card company, mortgage companies and all of that and say, hey, I got a lot of likes on this video. I got some smiles. I got some congratulations this week. I got some pat on the backs. I got some, hey girl, I see you. How much can I get with that? um, right? I think we all, I want you to see me saying this. I think we would all love that, but that is not the reality. And one of the principal components of Lead My Heart is to face reality, to acknowledge it, and to start there. Live in your capacity. Know what your capacity is. Strive for that, desire that. But you gotta also be realistic and acknowledge this is the facts though. This is what's happening. This is what we're dealing with. And how do we lead that? Okay. All right. So then let's start with people. All right, let's get into this. So with people and leading people spiritually, as people spiritually develop, you're going to see positive overall wellness, beginning with spirituality, beginning with accepting and embracing our identity as spirit, knowing that we're made in the image of God and have the ability, empowered through the Holy Spirit, to function as God does. Okay, you want to read more? Go read Genesis. Okay, particularly chapters 1 and 2. You'll see it for yourself. Um, but through positive overall wellness, what we're seeing is that spiritual leaders are partnering with employees to improve overall wellness. Okay. And when I'm talking about overall wellness, I'm not just talking about physical, mental, spiritual. Nope. There are 12 dimensions of wellness. Okay. It started out as being, I think, 7, then it grew to 8, then it grew to 9. Well, as I was doing research, I'm now saying 12. That's my number. I like the number 12. It's also the number of months in a year. It's also the number of government, like the 12 disciples. I like the number 12. And so you can believe that next year, I think this could be like a whole thing, a whole series kind of thing that I do about this. But the 12 dimensions of wellness: spiritual, physical, but then emotional and mental. Understanding that they're separate. Emotional from the standpoint that it's about how we manage our emotions. Okay, not being too happy all the time, not being too sad, but understanding the balance and knowing what are considered appropriate reactions. Okay, Then we have mental, our mental capacity, our ability to make good decisions, to think um, cohesively, okay? Mental health. Then we have social wellness, okay? Where we're talking about healthy relationships, managing relationships, building relationships, knowing you got to put in the work. Come on, right? Relationships are work. But how do we go about identifying relationships, creating them, and all of that so that they bring wellness into our life, not toxicity, okay? Financial wellness is important. We talked about profits a little bit and the importance of having that to fund ministry, but also to just not have the stress that comes along with not managing finances properly. So, financial wellness is a big part of this because that's our main currency. That's how you're able to have shelter, to eat, to have clothing, to get from point A to point B, right? So it's important that we have good financial wellness to be able to live and exist well in this world. Occupational wellness, that's regarding your career, your job. Um, are you in a career that or industry that's a good fit for you? Is it in alignment with your purpose? Do you feel called to it? Is it helping you feel fulfilled? That's important. And if you don't have that alignment, then what steps are you taking to align? Okay. Intellectual wellness, this has to do with education, your intellect, your ability to think um, critically, but then also move from, for me, I will say this, a lot of people stop at critical thinking. I'm beyond that. I think we've mastered that. We've taught it to death. Can we now get to critical action? Can we do that? Can we stop just thinking about stuff all day long, just talking stuff to death and not actually doing anything about it? Like, let's get there. Okay. Um, So intellect helps us do that because then we have to understand what skills am I missing? What knowledge am I missing to be able to get to critical action and execute the changes that are necessary? Cultural. Now, this is a new one for me, I will say. As I was researching, I started to see more and more people talking about cultural wellness. And I think that's so important in regards to our own identity, what type of culture do we identify with? What does that look like? Um, and I'm gonna minimize here. One of the things I want to point out regarding culture and identity in the workplace, gosh, I think I'll do a series on that because it's important that we understand how we identify in the workplace. And I'm not talking about, you know, trans things or what your pronouns are, even though that's a part of it. I won't, overlook that. But what I'm really talking about is knowing what your primary identifying markers are. Because you have main, primary cultures or your dominating culture, but then you also have minority culture as well. So let me explain what I'm talking about. Every day I wake up feeling like a child of God. I'm God's daughter. Absolutely. That is a primary identity marker of mine. I feel like a woman. I mean, I feel my body. And for those women who are watching, you know what I'm talking about. You feel like a woman, okay? And you got different things happening in your body just about every week to say, "Hey, remember you're a woman?" Yep, yep, yep. Okay. Um so that's another one. Um I don't feel black. I don't wake up feeling black, but I know that that is a primary identity marker of mine, particularly here in America. Okay? Because my environment and our society, I don't want to say makes me feel that way, but brings it to my attention often. Let me put it that way. Okay? But I also, as a black woman, there's cultural things I love about our culture and my hair, and my hair texture and all that goes along with being a Black woman, okay, that I love. And I encourage anyone, no matter what your race or ethnicity is, love it. Love it, love it, love it, because that's who you are, okay? And no one has the right to tell you you shouldn't. Love who you are. Um, so those are like primary identity markers that could also be considered subcultures in a different way. Another subculture could be being a daughter, um, you know, being an auntie, being a professor, having a PhD, or being an educator in general. Okay. And it can change depending on the organization, the location. For example, when I lived in China, one of my primary identity markers was being an American. I don't feel American here because all of us who are born here, right, or have lived here long enough, I'm not going to argue with you on that, okay, are American, okay? Um, but in China, it was often brought to my attention. I'm American. I felt American, and I was like, this is not my home. If something goes down, I need to be have like emergency preparation. I need to be prepared to get home, to get back to my country where I am a citizen. Okay. And so that can change, but I see the importance of us talking about culture now, from that standpoint. And so I just wanted to kind of bring that out, as some different things that are going on in my mind as to how I think about culture and identity. And then let me ask you this: when it comes to culture, you know how you identify, um, and your different culture, primary, your primary identity, um, markers, and subcultures that you may identify with. Do you check that at the door at work? No, a lot of the times you don't. But if this is the one of the things I want to bring up, if you primarily identify, for example, I was in a education leadership seminar or session, and one of the activities is talking about, you know, how you identify, and so many of the women in the room identified as a wife, as a mother. I'm neither. I'm Jamie and Maxwell's mom. My boys have passed away, my dogs, but I'm not a mother to a human, right? Not yet. And so I can't identify with that, but I saw many women who felt like that was their primary identity marker. Well, one of the ladies I was talking to, I asked her, I said, "How does that work for you at work?" And she says, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you primarily identify as a wife and mother, but you spend most of your waking hours at work where you're not a wife and mother, or you're in a way conditioned to not think of yourself as a wife or mother, or to not really tap into that part of your identity." And she says, "You're so right." you know? And so when I start talking about these things with her, she was just like, wow, this is something we don't talk about. And we don't. We don't. That's why I have a real problem with leaders, or it's being taught in classrooms to check who you are at the door and to separate your personal self from your professional self. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's um impossible, honestly. I think what you're doing is conditioning people, to operate and function as robots and not actual human beings, and we've got to get better at that. Okay, we have got to change that. And so I just went off on this whole cultural thing, but I wanted to talk more about that, because more than the others, because it's kind of a new idea, and I think it's worth talking about. I really do. And not just accepting your culture, but being open and to embracing other cultures and at least understanding them. Okay. Having that cultural competency or that cultural intelligence. Okay. And then other ones are environmental. This can be related to the planet and your wellness with how you, I guess, kind of embrace the world around you, honestly. But let's be honest, this could also have a lot to do with your environment at home, the environment at work, the environment in your organization, in your church, okay, wherever you find yourself, what does that environment look like and feel like for you? Is it a safe place? Is it thriving? Those are things that we need to address in regards to wellness. If you don't feel safe where you are, or if it's a toxic environment, that really does impact your overall wellness. And then creative. This idea, I love this. This is probably another newer one for me. Um, how are we tapping into our creativity, our nature of being creative? Um, Genesis 1 and 1 says, God created the heavens and the earth. So the first thing that God wanted us to know about him is that he's a creator and we're made in his image. And so we were made to create, to dream, to put things together, to produce, to deliver, to be innovative. And we need to be sure that we are in the right places, in the right environments, and have the right intellect and all these other wellness dimensions that come together to help us be creative and artistic in how we express ourselves and do things. And then this last one is aesthetic. Okay. Um, Hear me out. This is me. This is one I'm adding to the list. One, because I like the number 12, and I also see the importance of this because I've been having kind of inner dialogue about some aesthetic things that I've been seeing in different places and different professions and roles that mm, it bothers me a little bit, to be honest. And it's something that I'm also dealing with personally. And regarding, I think if you saw a video and was talking about, makeup and not feeling so much pressure to wear like a full face or wear foundation and what my journey is with that. But when it comes to aesthetic wellness, what I'm talking about overall is how we present ourselves. How do we show up? Um, and I don't want to get too into it. I'm not talking about, a particular hairstyle, a particular dress, or a particular, whether you have piercings or not. I'm not so much getting into all of that. But aesthetically, are we showing up to life that is in alignment with our assignment? Is it a good look? Is it an effective, I don't want to say good look. Is it an effective look for the role that I have and the people that I serve? Does it help bring us together or does it separate us? These are the things that I think about and how I show up to life. And I think it's something that we need to talk about more because you can have all these other dimensions, but if you don't show up put together and whatever that looks like for you, okay? If we're not cognizant of the fact that other people might be uncomfortable or something by how we show up, are we willing to make adjustments, not change, but or to have crucial conversations about those things? Okay. So I'm going to explore this some more. Okay. I'm going to dig deep into aesthetic because this is one that I am putting out here. It's one I'm introducing. And I want to build around it. Okay, so you're gonna hear more about aesthetic coming up. Okay, and so 12 dimensions of wellness, and we can all go through this list and think about how do we measure up? What are the struggles that we're having? What are some challenges? What are the things that we're doing really well? As also in this list, And I also want you to know it's not just from a individual person perspective, from the perspective of partnership, but organizationally, as an organization, what is our overall wellness? And let's think about this from aesthetics. Um, I don't care how great, um, let's say this. I don't care how great your restaurant is, how great the food tastes. If I walk into your restaurant and I see flies and I see rodents running across the floor, um, I no longer care how good it is. I no longer care about your creativity. um, and the spiritual connection you have to your food. And, I'm okay. I'm being a little facetious, but at the same time, I'm trying to make a point. Aesthetics matter. Um, if you bring out the food, it looks great, but the presentation is a mess, right? It looks like maybe someone's been eating from the plate already. I could dive in. I could overlook that, but do I want to? Do I want to overlook that? No. No, I don't. Okay? I'm just being honest. You might want to, and that's okay for you. But for me, and if a lot of us were honest, a lot of us, aesthetics matter. And it's okay to admit that. Okay? And work with that. Okay. Enough of that. That was people. No, we didn't finish people. The three different things, okay, we're focusing on that. Positive overall wellness when we implement spirituality, but also fulfillment. Okay. And if you've watched episodes 1 and 2, you get this now. The through purpose and partnership, calling and community, mission and membership. Those are the two needs that every spirit has. Why? We were created that way, we were designed that way. When God created Adam, he first put him in Eden, in his presence, and gave him an assignment to dress and take care of Eden. And then he said, I see that it's not fit for him to be alone. He needs a helpmate. And he created a partner for him. So he gave him a purpose and he gave him a partner. And that's what God desires for all of us. And the assignments that he's given us require us to align with that as well. Okay. And so fulfillment comes when the spirit, okay, has its needs met. And that's important for us to know. And then great performance is another result of the spirituality, okay, that comes with leading people, and enhances their performance because people have a mindset of excellence and foster high performance. Who are these spiritual leaders I'm talking about? All of us. I didn't say executive leaders. I said spiritual leaders. We're all spiritual leaders. If you're leading yourself, you're a spiritual leader, Barrett. If you're leading others, you're a spiritual leader. If you're following others, you're a spiritual leader. Okay? Because we're even from, as a follower, we lead from behind. So that's people. Then we have planet. Sustainability of the planet is number one. So what is happening? Spiritual leaders are proactive in efforts to have a viable planet, a thriving planet, a planet that is not destroyed, that can live on, that can provide for us. This is the only home we have. And I don't care how much money and time and resources we put into trying to get off of this planet. It is the only planet we have. And if we don't get it right here, all we're planning to do, let me put it that way, all we're planning to do is to go and destroy another planet. I don't want to plan to destroy another planet. I want to take care of this one. I want us to get back to having dominion and being good stewards of the earth as God created us to do. But also, a result of spiritually leading the planet is corporate social responsibility, whereby spiritual leaders are accountable, y'all, accountable. We take responsibility for our actions, our endeavors, the decisions that we make, the products that we produce, all of it. The things that we support, take responsibility. Take responsibility. Even if you think you're right, even if you strongly believe in what you are doing, you should. Please don't do anything. I'm going to say it half-assed, okay? Don't do anything partly committed, not committed. Don't do it. Why bother? Life is too precious. Your time is too precious. Don't do that. Commit to everything you do. Commit to everything you say. Because this is a reality. Everyone won't like it, and you will pay consequences. Not all consequences are bad consequences. Some of the consequences of what you say, um, oh, it looks like I'm having streaming issues. Hopefully I'm back. Oh, I hope I wasn't too disrupted. Um, but consequences are not all bad consequences. May support you. They may love you. You may get more followers because of what you say and do and how you act and behave. Okay? And the things that you support. But at the same time, you're also probably going to lose people, lose supporters, lose followers, get funding taken from you. Let's look at what's happening with, I think people call him Yee, I don't know, Kanye West. I only know him as Kanye West. Forgive me. I certainly don't want to disrespect you, sir, by calling you a name that you don't go by. So forgive me. I don't know what the other name is. Okay. Um, However, a lot is going on in the news about him right now. And let me give a response to that. Yeah, it happens. It happens. My hope is that whatever he said or did, because I'm really not too sure, to be quite honest, because there's been so much talked about him, whatever he said or did that's causing all these people to cut ties with him, I hope he believed it. I hope he meant it. I hope he loves it because that's what life is about these days. Because if you do something you don't love, you don't believe in, it can cost you still. And so at least let it if something's gonna cost you, let it be something that you love and believe in. Okay? So that's what I say to that situation and to all of us. Because there are gonna be consequences regardless, but let's be accountable. Let's be accountable. Let's be more self-accountable. Okay? Judge yourself first, lest anyone can judge you. Okay, let's do it first. Let's ask the hard questions to ourselves first. Why are you doing this? Should you be doing this? Is there someone else who should be doing this? Is this really your role? Is this really your assignment? Okay, all right. So that's corporate responsibility. And then the last one is ethical leadership. Okay, when we spiritually lead the planet, we're going to lead ethically. And that means that spiritual leaders will have a desire and demonstrate moral conduct. This is so important. I was talking to a class this week about the importance of not just having values, not just having ethics, but bringing those two together so that we actually act ethically. We actually have ethical conduct. Because let's be honest, you can have values and not act ethically. You can have laws and standards and policies and procedures, and people still act unethically and have values. How do we bring that into alignment? We do that with self accountability. Okay? We do that by saying, gosh, is this really the right thing to do? Should I really be doing this? What? And thinking ahead, thinking beyond that action to say, what will be the consequences of my actions? Who will I hurt in what I do? Because spiritually, we understand we're all connected. Corporate responsibility from a spiritual leadership perspective understands it's not just what our organization does. It's what we do that's going to affect every other businesses, our customers, our community, our planet. And it matters. It matters. And so ethical leadership also ties in a lot to corporate responsibility and having accountability. Okay. So That's what spiritually leading the planet looks like. But also, I just want to bring to your attention what I would call planet conservation strategies. Because this is what we have to realize is that it's not enough to just want the planet to survive. We have to do our part. Every organization and every individual. We all have to do our part. I could do better. Trust me. I'm coming to myself and I'm like, we got to do better. We got to do better with how we handle plastics. I got to do better with how I can get better at reusing and purchasing products that help me to do that. But here are some strategies that we can all implement better. And it's important to understand that these strategies have to be a part of your organization's infrastructure, meaning your policies, your procedures, okay, your communication plans, all of that, and your vision, meaning your purpose and your mission statements. It has to be embedded. In every meeting, you have to be asking the hard questions. Are we conserving? Are we sustaining the planet? Are we doing our part? Are we being responsible, ethical, moral? And so we do that by refusing toxic and non biodegradable products. We can do that by reusing non biodegradable products. For example, I love buying pasta sauces in the mason jars. Classico is one of the ones I buy. Yes, because I like the taste. I do, even though I'll be honest, I always add my own touch to anything to make it bomb and better, right? Um, but I also like the fact that I can take the labels off and reuse the mason jar. Okay. And so I'm constantly looking for companies that have thought about the packaging of their product in a way that makes it easier for the consumer to reuse them. That's a sign of corporate responsibility. Also, rethink. Rethink. Have you considered all your options and possibilities for how you package your product and how you carry out your business? Okay. Can you rethink the vehicles that you purchase? Can you rethink um the amount of driving time that your employees have that maybe reduce that? Rethink, 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 consider different possibilities. And then recycle. Gosh, it's a struggle just to get a recycle bin in the places I've worked and served in. I'm just being honest. We got to do better to not only have the recycle bin, okay, but to then take the necessary steps to make sure that it gets into the right places. We got to do better with recycling. We do it here at home. I'm grateful for that. But out in the community, we can do better. And we got to do better, y'all. Reduce. Using less water, right? I'm getting better at turning off that faucet while I'm brushing my teeth or, when I'm washing my hair in the shower, hey, turning off that water while I'm shampooing, right? It's just being more conscious about that. And we have to be, if we're conscious like that in a home, we got to be just as conscious of that in the workplace. What ways can we reduce what we use and the amount that we use? But still not mess with satisfaction of products and services. Remind people. It can be reminded on your packaging. These are different ways that you can reuse this packaging or a reminder to recycle. I see more reminders of how to recycle than how to reuse, to be honest. We could do better with that as well. Remind people to refuse, remind people to rethink, remind people to reduce, okay? And then the last one we can do is to restore. Not everything is ready to be torn down or discarded or thrown away. Sometimes it's to more of our benefit from a corporate social responsibility standpoint to actually restore a building, to restore that vehicle, to restore um, you know, gosh, whatever. I mean, and I get it. Sometimes it's not always about just trying to be sustainable. Sometimes it's cheaper to just completely replace. That's the reality. We have to face realities, right? But I think we can also just again rethink, consider our options to think about when can we restore? When is it beneficial to the planet, people, and the profit to restore versus discarding? Okay. And then the last one, the third one, profit. Okay. What does spiritually leading profit looks like? It's through your people. Yes, it's through your people. Okay, your spiritual beings. Because you have to understand that money doesn't create money all on its own. There's people, there's intellect, there's strategy, there's action and execution behind a profit. It's not just selling the products, but it's how it's packaged. How was it designed? Do you know the customer needs? That's people. That's people. And the more you spiritually lead people, you're going to get these non-financial predictors of profit. Okay? You're going to get those enhanced. And so those three things, those non-financial predictors of profit is customer satisfaction. That's number 1. Okay? Because that's going to help foster spirituality will help foster customer loyalty. How you treat them, recognizing that they're spiritual beings and leading your customers in that way, that they want to feel like they belong, okay, which is not fitting in, but belonging around a mission, a vision, purpose, okay, and then also that you're helping them to reach their goals. You're partnering with them in that. And that's going to produce loyalty and them coming back over and over and over again. You're going to see your profits increase. Organizational outputs, such as production, how you produce, the quality of what you produce, or what you do, how you deliver them, those products and services, but then also improving your organization's infrastructure with this in mind. How we communicate. What are our policies and procedures? And do our policies and procedures and software and technologies, all of those things that are part of the infrastructure of our organization, do they support spiritual efforts to then get these organizational outcomes that will help us increase our profit? Okay. And then we have the employee commitment and growth as another outcome of spiritually leading profit, whereby employee satisfaction increases, and as a result, performance is enhanced as well. People have a different mindset. They're working with excellence because they're happy, because they want to develop and they feel like this is a place to do it. So your profit is going to be reflective of your organizational culture. Okay. And if you have a spiritual workplace, you're going to see how well you're managing, or should I say leading or managing your profits. Okay. But that's not to dismiss the fact that profit is important. And so, as leaders, executive leaders, is a lot of us don't, unless you have a background in finance, you really don't, or accounting, should I say, you you probably don't dabble a whole lot in profit margins and things like that. If you got an MBA, you understand, or you may have taken like that one accounting course, like I did in my administration program. But nonetheless, you probably don't have a whole lot of background in this. And I put this together because one, I'm wanting to understand it better. And so this is me kind of spiritually exercising growth and intellect and how I run my business and getting a better handle on these things. And I just want to help you as well. If you find yourself in a situation like me where you want to grow in this area, and that's understanding the three important profit margins to know. There are more, but after some research, I see that these are kind of like the three main ones to help understand how your business is performing: the gross profit margin, the operating profit margin, and net profit margin. Now, you have to understand that the difference between margin and understanding the overall profit is that margin looks more at a percent, okay? A percentage of revenue of what's coming in. And so it's going to break it down into per dollar of revenue that what you're bringing in, how much of it do you get to keep? How much of it goes towards operating expenses? How much of it is, you know, your overall profit margin, okay, from each dollar? And so, for example, with the gross profit margin, where you're looking at what you're bringing in versus the cost of what it takes for you to produce goods and services from that revenue, okay? That, let's say if the percent is like 15%, then that means that of every dollar that you earn in revenue, okay, you really only gross 15 cents of it when you consider how much you're paying or the cost of actually producing your products and services. Okay. And then you have the operating project, which is looking at I'm sorry, your operating profit margin, which is looking at operating expenses. And it measures how much of a profit you make per dollar of sales, okay, after paying your operating expenses, but before paying taxes and interest. Okay, and then there's a formula for that. And then net income, or net income margin or net profit margin, is measuring your overall net income, okay, as generated as a percent of your revenue. All right. And so that's after looking at all your, total expenses, not just the cost of producing products or services, not just your operating cost, but everything. Okay. And how much of the dollar that you earn is an actual net profit. Okay. So definitely if this spurs some interest and you like, gosh, I really still don't get this. I don't understand it. I want to know more about this. This is a great start for you to go do some research to learn more about it. Okay. All right. And so we're here at the end, and this is the final thought I want to leave you with, or more so a reflection question. And we're looking at spiritual leadership overall and how it affects the three prioritized priorities, or the sustainability development, or the triple bottom line, because we now understand it's not just about profit. But the other thing I want you to know is that you don't have to compromise profit to develop your people and lead them to fulfillment. You don't have to compromise corporate social responsibility and doing your part for a sustainable planet, a viable planet. You don't have to compromise any of these for the other. But through spiritual leadership, you can effectively lead, steward, and manage all three. And that's what it's about. It's about having the faith to believe that these three things can be improved, that hope is not lost, that there are better days ahead, that development is possible, improvement is possible. It's also loving people, it's loving the planet. It's, I won't say loving profit, um, because I don't think so much we should love profit, but we should desire it. We should want it. We should pursue it so that you can continue to employ people and have jobs, so that you can continue to give money and support different um, programs and initiatives in society. Okay. But then also that vision of what the future can hold if we do things well. Okay. And so you got to ask yourself, how well are you leading people? How well are you stewarding the planet? And how well are you managing your profits? Um, there's growth in all of these. But I would dare say that every meeting, you should hit on all three. Every conversation, hit on all three. Every new project, you should hit on all three. All three of these, if you intentional about addressing them, managing them, checking in on them, and building infrastructure around these three priorities, none of them will suffer. Okay? So that's a good start in doing this and making sure that with every contact, emails, marketing, your meetings, your communication plans, your reports, it's on these three. And the more you focus on them, the more I can say we could do better. All right. Okay, you all. So that's it for this, not only episode 3, but for this whole series. It is a wrap. And this series has been the spiritual journey of leadership. And I pray that after hearing this last episode, that it all comes together and that you understand the importance of being spiritual leaders. You are. It isn't, it's not even so much about the importance of knowing it. You are. You are a spiritual leader. Now you need to embrace it. You need to act accordingly, okay? And how you lead yourself, how you lead others, and how others lead you. Okay, so let me know your thoughts, your comments. What did you think about all of this series, and how has it blessed you? How are you going to use it? What changes are you going to make? Okay, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or if you want me to come work with your organization. I would love to in helping you to develop spiritual leadership strategies that is going to it truly enhance your triple bottom line, not just your bottom line, but the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. Okay. So also, y'all, I have another series coming up next month. Okay, for November, just doing one series, and that is the alignment in pursuit of alignment and balance in executive leadership. Executive leaders, this is just, I mean, all of this is really for you because I am an executive coach and consultant, but I still try to present my content in a way that if it's a stay-at-home mom, or should I say a domestic executive director, okay, and a domestic executive leader, because you are, that you can implement these same strategies, okay. It's for everyone. Whoever wants to consider themselves a leader or desires to expand their capacity for executive leadership, this is for you. My company is for you, okay. So we're overwhelmed, we're tired, we're frustrated, we're out of alignment. Let's get it right. Let's get it together. We're going to talk about getting alignment and balance in our lives and how do we do that, okay, as executive leaders. So save the date, make sure you're subscribed and you're following my pages so that you do not miss this series. It's going to be awesome. Okay, you all have an amazing rest of your Friday. Finish strong, okay, and have an amazing weekend. And as much as possible, I know, some of you, it may not work out that way. But what I will say is that if you can't keep it all at work over the weekend, create healthy boundaries. Okay. And healthy boundaries are just as important. You may not get the 2 days, you may not get one day, you may have to work every day, but develop healthy boundaries and build courage in communicating them. Okay. All right. I love you all, and I pray that you have, again, an amazing rest of your day. And remember, in everything you do, and with everything you have, everything, love God and love people.